Hello everybody, this is Tim here again, here with another movie review, this time for Violent Night. Now, Violent Night is a movie I'd been kind of anticipating in seeing because I was a fan of the Fat Man movie with Mel Gibson. I didn't love that one, but I liked it. Overall, from 1 to 4 in terms of Violent Night, this being a movie about a Santa Claus who has to go into action mode. He's become like disillusioned with the holiday and everything. Doesn't really care about it anymore because he thinks it's all about the consumerism and all that, which it pretty much is, really. But there's like this little girl, of course, who still believes in Santa Claus and all that, and her family ends up getting captured or held hostage by these criminals. I guess you could call them terrorists, maybe, or whatever. But they're held hostage by them, and they want to rob them. The mother is played by Beverly D'Angelo. You got like the mom and dad of the little girl who had recently broken up. And the movie never really explains why. Like, you get the idea that the wife or whatever, or the mom, I guess. I'm not sure if they're married or what. I don't think the movie even specifies. Pretty sure they're supposed to be, though. But you get the idea that the wife like doesn't like Beverly D'Angelo and like having to put up with her and all that, and like the guy's family and everything because they're like rich pricks. But the movie never really specifies like why she would sorry about that, but why she would like break up with her husband or whatever, or want to split up with him, because the dude's like pretty much a pansy pushover. He's a really nice guy, so there's not really much to the dude or whatever that would initiate like them splitting up. I don't really get it. And later on in the movie, you find out he actually stole the money that the criminals are there to get, led by John Leguizamo, who John Leguizamo goes by the code name Mr. Scrooge in this, which I thought was pretty damn funny. He actually stomps a guy and kills him and says, "Bah humbug, motherfucker." That was funny. You get the idea. You find out that he actually stole the money already that they were there to steal, so he could like get away from his family and go off with this girl, go off with his woman, I mean, and his daughter. But you get the idea that she doesn't care about money. And she explains that she doesn't care about money after she finds out that he did it. And so it's like, well, why did this guy even do this? Because he's been with this girl a while. He should know her pretty well, that she doesn't really care about money. It doesn't really make any sense there. but Santa Claus is like played by David Harbour, who's the dude from Stranger Things. He was good in the Hellboy remake, but the Hellboy remake itself wasn't good. He comes there with the reindeer and all that, and he's just got to drop off presents, get the hell out of there, but then he decides to stay there and whoop ass because he wants to try to rescue the girl. In terms of this movie overall, I liked it. I'd give it a 3 out of 4. It's a good movie. It is fun for what it is, for the action, but overall it's not a great movie. This movie had potential to be better than what it was. The problem with this movie, the acting is fine. The problem with this movie is that it has tonal shift problems. It doesn't mesh. The tone doesn't. They're trying to mesh here. It doesn't mesh right. This should have been like a Grindhouse movie or whatever, about like kind of like a Santa Claus, like what you got with the Mel Gibson movie, or one from like the movie Rise of the Guardians or whatever, where it's like a Russian type Santa Claus and he had like tattoos on his knuckles, where he like seemed like he used to be like a Russian mob and shit. You should have had something like that with Santa Claus in here, where it wasn't like this movie's problem is it's trying to be like a rated R, like comedic type thing, take on the Christmas and all that, and with people being killed left and right and everything. But at the same time, it also wants to be an actual legit Christmas movie, and that's the reason this film doesn't mesh right tonally. Like, all at once in the middle of the movie, he'll start giving like speeches about believe in Santa Claus and consumerism is so bad. He'll be giving those kinds of like, speeches about stuff like that and all that. Like, all kids want his games and everything, and it starts like seeming like it's trying to do like some kind of Miracle on 34th Street or whatever that old Christmas movie was, and it doesn't mesh with all the over-the-top violence and cussing and stuff in the movie. This should have been like a really silly, ridiculous Grindhouse movie. Even the Mel Gibson movie was closer in tone to what I wanted out of these two movies. I will say this is better than the Mel Gibson movie just because it's more overall entertaining for the action. But the Mel Gibson, in terms of like his Santa Claus, is more what I wanted with the David Harbour version here. When it comes to the action here, the action here is much more entertaining than the Mel Gibson movie. Even though I think I liked Walter Goggins close to as much as John Leguizamo here. I think John Leguizamo is a little bit better only because he gets to have more like over-the-top speeches. But yeah, this movie should just been like a silly Grindhouse movie where Santa Claus was just like immensely over the top, and the whole movie was just immensely over the top and ridiculous, kind of like Hobo with a Shotgun or something like that. That's what I really wanted from this movie. But this movie tries to balance tones of like being a Christmas movie and an action flick at the same time. It doesn't totally mesh. You get some cool scenes though. The little girl is like seen Home Alone, which is kind of funny, and she sets traps and causes a nail to like go through the bottom of this guy's mouth, and it's kind of cool. And you get some cool fights where Santa Claus, David Harbour, starts taking people out with a sledgehammer. Kind of neat. You get to the main fight at the end with him and John Leguizamo. He manages to take him out by pulling him through a chimney with magic. Santa Claus is about to lose the fight. He's about to die, but he ends up using his magic to like pull John Leguizamo like through the chimney. And that's one thing, like Santa Claus is supposed to be like magical or whatever according to like mythology and all that. But in this movie, he's not really that magical. But I guess it's like based on belief or whatever. Had a nose itch. But yeah, it's like based on belief, and there's not many people that really believe in Santa Claus, and who can blame them? But you get to the end of the movie though, and he gets shot in the back by this dude who's like supposed to be on Beverly D'Angelo's Death Squad team. Is supposed to be there to rescue her, but he's actually a traitor. Like the guy's whole team was a traitor. So John Leguizamo is like apparently paid off everybody or negotiated a deal with everybody to get inside access to this place and to get all this money and everything, which is a little ridiculous, but still. And the dude who plays the dad, like they kind of set him up at the beginning, like he's really nice, like a dork, but he also might be onto something shady, because he's like, I finally figured out a way for us to get from outside of my mom's thumb or whatever, out of her rule and all that. And so the bad guys are there and everything, and you get the idea, like the movie kind of hints that it might take a darker turn, where it's come to find out that he's actually the one that organized this whole thing, and he's got the guys there, and he's going to like take part of the money and give them part of the money, and he was going to run off with it and everything and try to take his family with it. And I thought he was going to end up being the main villain. In my opinion, that's a missed opportunity. This film could have went darker and been like more bloody and even more carnage candy. It finally gets to that point by the end when the sledgehammer action kicks in and all that. But before then, though, it is kind of mundane for a little bit at the beginning. It takes it a little bit too long to get started and gets a little bit too sappy with the Christmas stuff. But overall, with the action combined in this, it makes it entertaining as an action flick. And you get to the end, David Harbour gets shot in the back, but he's dying as Santa Claus. But because because they all actually believe in Santa Claus now, because he rescued him and everything, that he manages to resurrect because of the Christmas magic. He's like, yeah, I don't understand it either. Which of course is a gag, because it's like, yeah, he's back, whatever. But that did kind of make me laugh. So he's back, and he's like, he flies off at the end, telling him he's got to go and all that. And he's flying off with the reindeer and everything, going, ho ho ho, Merry Christmas. It's a little corny, but at the same time, it is kind of funny and a little charming to see him fly off like that, David Harbour. And David Harbour does a good job here. The acting, it's good all around. Nobody's really bad here. The guy who plays like the husband or whatever, when you find out that he's like not in on it, or not like the ringleader or anything, his character just ends up being kind of corny. He's just really sappy. He's just like this pussy of a guy. So it's like, eh. But yeah, overall, I'd give this a 3 out of 4. It was entertaining. It was good. I liked it. It was fun, but it has tonal mismatches, and it doesn't have a consistent tone. But yeah, overall though, it's entertaining. So 3 out of 4, solid movie. I recommend it. You know what you're getting into when you see the preview for this movie, but be warned, there's some tonal problems. But overall, it's entertaining. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you again.